Welcome to Introduction to Orthodox Conchism. My name is Professor ratat0ing 8990, but you can call me Ratty. And first of all, I'd like to say congrats on being here at the University of Conchalore. Now, I know college can be scary, but if you ever have any questions or requests, I'm always here for you. And please do not hesitate to contact me at any time of the day or night. If you're a something like an agriculture, engineering, redstone major, something like that, you might be thinking, I don't need this class. Well, you're right, but I don't care. In case you're wondering, Introduction to Orthodox Conchism will cover the basics of Orthodox Conchism, the major tenets of the religion, and its some of its effect on history. So let's move into that real quick. But before that, we're going to take a look at the University Policy Agreement. By enrolling in this course, you as a student are agreeing to comply with all current policies of the University of Conchalore. To pass this class, you must receive a 70% grade or higher on the final exam. Academic dishonesty of any kind will not be tolerated and may result in penalties up to and including dismissal from the class with a failing grade. The university reserves the right to withhold your degree if complete payment for all classes has not been received before graduation. And this agreement will apply to all of the courses in your major, no matter where you are at the school. First of all, before we get into the real content, I'd like to explain the dating system we use here at UC. This course, as well as all others, will use both the Orthodox calendar and the standard calendar dates. If you don't know, the Orthodox calendar counts years of 5 days each, counting forward and backward from July 15th, 2020, and we'll get into why that date is important a little later. As for the current date, which is December 13th, 2020 at the time of recording, that would correspond to day 2, year 31, AK, that stands for after Kip Kemboy in the Orthodox calendar. So with that in mind, let's get to it. So what is Conchism? Conchism is by far the most dominant religion on the server. It is influential in the culture and politics of most major nations, including Newport and the Server Federation. And it is also the oldest religion on the server. Its basic tenets of belief include a belief in the existence of the magic conch as a spiritual deity, belief in the omniscience and infallibility of the magic conch. That just means conchists believe that the conch knows everything and cannot be wrong about anything. Conchists also believe in its ability to manifest itself in nautilus shells and certain animate beings, which we will get into detail on that a little bit later. And finally, all conchists agree that the magic conch chose to manifest itself as a physical player in the player of Kip Kemboy 35, and we will take a more in-depth look into that as well. The magic conch was thought to be a nautilus shell toward the beginning of its relationship with humanity. It was first discovered in the eastern jungles. Those are jungles east of Circe, and it was eventually brought to Newport by Rage 6838 in late April 2020. That's around the year 20 BK in the Orthodox calendar. Now, after Rage 6838 was the first player to discover this conch and bring it to Newport, the townspeople soon discovered that the conch has many supernatural abilities, primarily the tendency to answer any yes or no question, and all those answers are believed to be infallible by followers of the magic conch. Additionally, for its adherents, asking the conch questions is seen as a synonymous practice to praying for other religions. So as I said, adherents will ask the conch yes or no questions, and the conch will typically respond with 4 or 5 typical responses that are usually 1 to 4 words long. Known answers include yes, no, maybe someday, I don't think so, and try asking again if the question has not been phrased correctly. The conch has also been known to teleport players upon asking. It's also controlled the weather, manipulated time as well. And these are just the powers we know that the conch is able to produce. It's very possible that the conch has many other undiscovered powers that it has not chosen to unveil to the players of the server yet. So you might be thinking, what is the scripture for Conchism? And the answer is there is no scripture per se. It is the closest thing that Conchism has to a holy scripture is a book called The Decrees of the Magic Conch, Volume 1, which was written by the first two high priests of the Temple of the Magic Conch, and it contains the first 20 answers given by the conch to the townspeople from questions they asked. So again, conscious doctrine is not dictated by any scripture. It's more controlled by any answers given by the conch. It's more of an oral tradition. So going back to the Decrees of the Magic Conch, Volume 1, there's no Volume 2. That was poor planning on their part. But the first 20 answers include a lot of the base understanding of what conchists see the conch to be. For example, the conch declared that its preferred pronoun is it. That's why I have not been referring to it as he or she. In these first 20 answers, the conch also ordered construction of the Temple of the Magic Conch, and it appointed the original 2 high priests. Additionally, one of the most seldom known doctrines professed in the Decrees of the Magic Conch is that Conchism is not really an aggressively evangelistic religion, or at least it wasn't meant to be. The conch agreed with the statement that we should not try to recruit everyone to follow the ways of the conch. They should convert on their own after seeing the power of the conch. That is a decree that might have been severely misunderstood by adherents to the conch over the years, but nevertheless, at its core, Conchism is not an evangelistic religion. The Temple of the Magic Conch, as I mentioned previously, was ordered by the Magic Conch to be constructed in Old Town Newport soon after the religion was introduced to the townspeople. And you can still go to Old Town Newport today and see the temple. It's one of the oldest buildings there. It's on the corner of Temple Street and the Coastal Highway. Soon after the construction of the temple, the Magic Conch appointed 2 players to serve as the first high priests. That included Rage 6838 and ratat0ing 8990. I'm a high priest. And Rage 6838 was actually later replaced by High Priestess Lost City 99 on June 18th, which corresponds to day 4, year 6 before Kip Kimboy. And this replacement was ordered by the Magic Conch in a rare full sentence declaration that Rage 6838 was actually a false prophet. And there were many reasons for this, but primarily it was because Rage 6838 was not active enough to actually meaningfully contribute to the daily operations of the temple. In response to his excommunication, Rage 6838 said that the true origins of the conch was not some high deity. It was my shell and I want it back. So after he was excommunicated, he actually renounced the religion he created and became an atheist. He's actually still an atheist to this day. And it was never the same between the temple and Rage 6838. Another important aspect of the temple is the temple veil, which only opens when both high priests are on the server. And this is important because the temple veil needs to be open for the conch to answer any questions of its adherents, which means both high priests must be on for anyone to ask the conch a question. The exact reasons for this is unknown, but it is a decree of the Magic Conch, and Orthodox conchists believe that. Speaking of Orthodox Conchism, you might be wondering exactly what this term means, and it is a word for the original form of Conchism, that follows temple guidelines. And the reason we call it Orthodox Conchism today is because mainline Conchism split into two branches in October, the Orthodoxy and New Conchism, which we won't go into New Conchism that much, but both denominations have developed distinct doctrinal practices. So this course will focus mainly on Orthodoxy. The main tenets of Orthodox Conchism include a lot of the stuff that was believed by most conchists before the schism, including that the magic conch is infallible, that the temple high priesthood is the voice of the conch, that they should be followed. Interestingly, one of the main issues that caused the schism was the doctrine of polygamy. Orthodox conchists believe that marriages should only contain 3 players or less, and there's been increasing resistance to this in the New Conchist Church of the Shire. Perhaps the most critical belief that sets Orthodox Conchism apart from the other forms of Conchism is that Kip Kemboi 35 is the only true embodied manifestation of the conch. And if you're wondering who Kip Kemboi 35 is, this is a player who first joined the server on July 14th, 2020, before leaving a couple hours later on July 15th. And that is where we mark day 1, year 1, AK, after Kip Kemboi in the Orthodox calendar. As you can see, the years in the Orthodox calendar are counted around July 15th, around this player, Kip Kemboi. He was described as a player of few words by witnesses. He obviously first spawned in Cersei, and over the course of the hour or two that he was online, he gained a massive following as he made a pilgrimage from Cersei to Newport. Later on, when asked if Kip Kemboi 35 was the physical embodiment of its spirit, the conch confirmed that, yes, Kip Kemboi 35 is its physical embodiment. The only words spoken by Kip Kemboi 35 were "no complaints, Krusty," and this was addressed to Krusty Shins, a player who is now sometimes known as Kip Kemboi 35's chosen disciple. According to reports, there were about 8 witnesses to Kip Kemboi 35 during his pilgrimage on the server, and I want to take a look at some of the witness accounts here, some quotes from that day. Krusty Shins, the supposed chosen disciple, said that though he speaks few words, those that he does say are well beyond his years. Malachi Brown, 523, who was also present for Kip Kemboi's pilgrimage, said that those deep, blocky eyes gave me hope. We all looked at the sky and thought, he must be the conch. The heavens opened up and confirmed our theories. And Lone Llama MV, who was serving his first reign as Emperor of Newport at the time, said, the journey I took with Kip Kemboi 35 was mystical. I had fallen behind the others, but arrived in time to see the glorious ascension of what I firmly believe was the physical manifestation of the magic conch. So clearly this player, Kip Kemboi 35, who no one really knew who he was, but he made a massive impact on the witnesses and subsequently the culture and eventually the politics of the entire world before he ascended into heaven supposedly on July 15th. And the place of his ascension is still marked with a sign today, and it is located on the shores of the Sea of Quarantine, across the sea from Newport. So a lot of conchists have made pilgrimages there since then. Hey class, it's Professor ratat0ing. You might have noticed I'm actually recording this slide on a different day, separate from the rest of the course, but since the original recording, there's actually been some events which have transpired, which have changed our curriculum. Kip Kemboi 35 actually came back for a second incarnation on December 16th, that is day 5, year 31. He appeared in Cersei again, and then he traveled, made a pilgrimage to Newport, and then to Kipkem before he ascended into heaven again. Some of his sayings, now known as proverbs, include, "How art thou, world? It's been many years. There is greatness to be found, a diamond in the caverns, an excellence greater than good. And is this world ridden with evil?" Obviously, it's all these sayings are still very new. Really, even the high priesthood doesn't really know exactly what they mean, but I'm sure over the years, the scholars and theologians will dissect these. Despite what some adherents expected his potential second incarnation to be, for the most part, he actually did not interfere with any political systems or religious matters, other than one exception, was he granted Christus 7777 a permanent seat on the World Congress of the Server Federation. And then subsequently he left a piece of white wool on a hill east of Kipkem before ascending into heaven, and that location is now a shrine, probably going to be a temple in the future. As I said, Kipkemboy 35 is recognized by Orthodox conchists as the only true embodiment of the magic conch. Now, other denominations have claimed that there were subsequent incarnations of the conch since Kipkemboy, but it is almost universally agreed upon by all conchists that Kipkemboy 35 was a manifestation of the conch. And some believe he will return, although this is not exactly confirmed doctrine, but it is possible within the, the conch has never confirmed or denied it, basically. As I said earlier, Kipkemboy 35 made quite a lasting impact on the culture of the server. His legacy includes a proposed mission to the Far Lands was named the Kipkemboy mission. This mission actually never happened. Yeah, it was a failure. And he has one city named after him, which is actually the capital of the Server Federation. Kipkem, the city, is also the capital of Conchalore. And then, of course, a popular greeting between conchists is "No complaints, Krusty." That is, of course, the only words that Kipkemboy 35 said during his time here. As new questions and answers have emerged over the years, so has the doctrine of Orthodox Conchism evolved to contain these new answers. These include the doctrine of omnipresence, which is basically saying that, contrary to what conchists believed earlier, that the conch was only present in one specific nautilus shell, the conch confirmed during an interview with the Newport Report that it is actually present in all nautilus shells across the server, not any one shell. And the reason for this doctrine being unveiled by the conch was primarily due to concerns of adherents that what they thought was the true conch had been repeatedly stolen from the temple over the course of a week or two. And this was later found to be perpetrated by Rage 6838 after his excommunication. So he was clearly trying to stir up a crisis within conchdom, and then the conch came out and said, "There's nothing special about this one conch. It's actually, basically, we were made to believe that the conch is only present in that one shell for our own comfort," and it eventually came out and told us otherwise. Another doctrine that was not present at the beginning of conchism is that all marriages, adoptions, and divorces must be blessed by the magic conch to be seen as valid by the temple. Now, probably early in the New Portian Imperial era, this was very important for your marriage, for your adoption or divorce to be seen as valid by the temple. But after the schism, as the temple lost some of that influence on public opinion, more and more marriages have been happening without the conch's blessing, which is seen as a problem within Orthodoxy. As I mentioned earlier, another new doctrine introduced by the conch was that only marriages of 3 or less people should be recognized as valid, and this was in response to increasing demand for polygamy within Conchism. And another core tenet that arose after the schism was that non-Orthodox Conchists only rarely receive blessings from the magic conch, such as teleportation, weather control. Even if non-Conchists or non-Orthodox Conchists request for a teleportation, the conch typically refuses to grant that because of their rejection of temple doctrine. And that concludes our brief introduction to Orthodox Conchism. If you want to find out more about this topic, be sure to look into our religion classes here at the University of Conchalore. The test, the final exam for this course will be multiple choice and 15 questions, so feel free to look over this video again, but the test will not be open note and it will not be open video, so good luck.